Dude, that was awesome. How about the Matthias Michelli game? You know how I know we're so back?
How?
Because you're saying nerdy nonsense like the Matthias Michelli game. How are you married? Let's go! It starts with an A and ends with anxiety. Off the charts levels of passion! That's just a nightmare! With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Nerds get married too, how dare you. Leafs win 5-3 over the Utah Mammoth. A sentence I have never spoken before. And you know what that means. A Leafs win means victory, puppy! For every single Leafs win this season, I'm going to be donating $20 to the Humane Society of Durham Region. I encourage you to match with that one or any pet-related charity near you because they need our help too. And I'm going to ask you for more money, but just give me a sec. It's the last time. The Eric Lindros Celebrity Hockey Classic is tomorrow. Basically, the draft is tomorrow night, where all the teams get together and they pick the celebrity that they want to play with. And then on Friday, we get to play our games. Now at the draft, whatever team raises the most money for Easter Seals Ontario, that's a charity that helps out kids with physical disabilities, I've said it 1,000 times, it's like muscle memory. Whoever raises the most money gets to pick first. And you win this very shiny trophy. The draft happens tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I don't know exactly when the cutoff is, so if you plan on donating, please do it before 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you do donate any amount to anybody on Rachel's Raiders, you are automatically entered to win a pair of tickets, that's 2 tickets, to Leafs Sens on December 27th. Does that sound like a great Christmas present to you? It does to me! Promise I'm almost finished. Easter Seals is a wonderful charity that my family relied on growing up. As a lot of you know, maybe you don't. My sister, Rachel, our team is called Rachel's Raiders in honor of her. She has cerebral palsy as well as several other disabilities. And the Easter Seal summer camps that my family went to twice allow for an inclusive family experience where everyone gets to get in on the fun. I've told the story on the podcast before. I hate the beach. I still hate the beach because of when I was a kid. Why do you hate the beach? Have you ever tried to bring a wheelchair to the beach? But somehow, Easter Seals Ontario at those amazing summer camps found a way to make that fun. They also help with equipments like AFOs, wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs that can cost so much. And these camps cost about $250 per person per day. I'm sure the price has gone up because the economy and all that. So far, Rachel's Raiders has raised over $51,000 this year alone. We're the top team right now, but there's other teams hot on our tails. Let's get it done. The tournament as a whole has a goal of raising $500,000. Right now we're at $329,000 at the time I am shooting this. Let's get it. Now, the Leafs and Mammoth. This is very funny because it was 1-0 for the Mammoth after 1, and how you felt about that describes the kind of Leaf fan that you are. Because, I hated the goal. It's not a great goal. With just over a minute to go, Brandon Carlo loses it to Lawson Krause, but then Krause goes behind the net, and it shouldn't be an issue because Riley's there and Max Domi is coming in support. Why Riley decided to go behind the net, I don't know, because that created an unwinnable situation in front. Michael Carcone, who used to have a contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs, scores because of course he does, and the Leafs are down 1-0 after 1. Now, the Leafs are on a shorter leash this year with a lot of fans than they have been in years previous, and you can hardly blame anyone for that on account of they're the Leafs. But I will say that first period was one of their most encouraging of the past month. So basically of the whole season. The reason I say that is most of this season so far, the Leafs have not looked like the Leafs. They've looked like an assorted pile of garbage. It's like if you ordered 10 assorted Timbits through the Tim Hortons drive-thru and instead they just gave you a box of buttons, staples, and toenails. And you open the box and you're like, what this isn't what I ordered at all. And then people are accusing you, yes it is, Marner's gone. This is exactly what you wanted. And you're like, just because Marner's gone doesn't mean I asked for buttons, staples, and toenails. I've always been like this. But in this first period, even though they came out of it down 1-0, they looked the way they did last year, which is a compliment, by the way, because they won most of their games and won their division. What was it? Well, they got outshot, but But there were a lot of games last year, and like after a few months, we just got used to it. Oh, okay, this is just how they play. Where they got outshot in terms of shots on goal, but the Corsi was a lot more even than that. And in this particular one, the actual puck possession, the time spent with the puck, the Leafs way exceeded the Mammoth. Way had the more puck. Am I okay? Way had more. They had the puck more. So yes, you hate the brain fart at the end of the period. You hate that they're down 1-0. But in terms of process, that first period was pretty good. Now we go to the second period where the Leafs have been awful all season long. They are a -9 on the season heading into this second period, which is weird because they were the best second period team in the NHL last year until Florida completely figured them out and exposed them in the second round. Now, one thing about this year's Leafs that's kind of carried over from last year's Leafs and the year before that and the year before that and the year before that is the big guys are still doing the vast majority of the scoring. Cue William Nylander, who is one of the best scorers in the NHL right now. He honestly might be leading the Art Ross race right now had he not missed any games, but he's missed several. John Tavares doing great work down low. He gets it to Matthew Knies. How hard is it to defend Matthew Knies? It's this hard. He makes you put two guys on him, which leaves William Nylander wide open to do William Nylander things. Knies gets his 13th assist of the season. Yeah, he's on one. And Willy pots his 6th. The game is tied. But like, Tavares is having a good season. We knew that. Knies is having a good season. We knew that. Willy's having a good season. We knew that. What about, oh, there he is. Matias Maccelli is playing his first game against the Utah Mammoth, a team that had him last year and decided to scratch him a whole big bunch. We could point and laugh and call the Mammoth stupid for doing that, but the Leafs actually did that to Maccelli last game. But you might remember, apart from the 20 minutes where they actually decided to show up, the Leafs were buttons last game. Maccelli decides, well, we can't have that, and we definitely can't have that against my former team. So here's a slick little backhand pass to Austin Matthews, and Austin cocked that stick back and he looked at that puck and he very calmly explained, "You deserve this. You know you deserve this. We all know you deserve this." I'm doing this with a mustache too. It's not lost on me. "You deserve this." And he whacks that thing like an uncle with a magazine at a barbecue full of wasps. Austin Matthews with his 8th of the season and goals in 3 straight. The Leafs have their first lead of the game. Now, Austin Matthews, holy cow. For a while, we've been wondering where the guy has gone. Like, he's back. Like, over the past few games. Like, that is exactly what Austin Matthews looks like. The way he's finding open space, the way the puck touches his stick for a microsecond and it's in, the way he can toe drag and release it, the way he slaps it, the way he gets on the back check, the way he works doggedly in puck battles. This is the guy who scored 69 goals. He only had 2 shots on goal in this game, but in his past several games, 4, 5, 5, 6. He had 2 before that. He wasn't himself before that. I would say since about the Calgary game, roughly the Calgary game, you could argue the Buffalo game, Matthews has been playing better and better and better. Of course, he wasn't very good for the first 40 minutes the other night against Pittsburgh, but neither was anybody. And who led the comeback charge? Him! The captain leads! And the Leafs are outscoring Utah 2-0 in the second period, which is a big deal this year. Except Utah got one back and it kind of sucked. Not long after Anthony Stolarz makes an absolute 10-bell save getting across to rob the Mammoth, Mikhail Sergachev from the point, that can't go in. And it just sucks the air out of the building, and it's 2-2. Now, let's get something straight. You have to win this game. I mean, you don't have to win any game, as we've learned, but you kind of have to win this game. Because you won last game playing like garbage and got screamed at by your coach. We didn't hear that. But like, we're not dumb. That's what happened. And I got to imagine that's terrifying. So you got to have a big performance because of that. But what else? The Utah Mammoth are having a great season. So little bit of a measuring stick game, but like, you're on home ice. You have home ice advantage. And the Mammoth are giving you Vitek Vanacek tonight. And I'm not taking a swipe at Vitek Vanacek, but he is their backup goalie. Karel Vejmelka is their starter. and a wonderful one at that. Well, why are they giving you Vanacek? Because they played last night. Dude, you got hammered by your coach. You're playing their backup in your barn. They're tired. You have to win. And win they gosh darn do. Bobby McMahon remaining on a line with John Tavares. John Tavares, who actually picked up points on 2 plays on 2 completely different lines on this one. McMahon, after going through a drought, he's now got points in back-to-back games, does hard work in front of the net. And if you do hard work in front of the net, they got to commit more attention and resources to you. And when they do that and the puck squirts loose, whoever is there has a clear shot. And who was there but Tavar 500, wearing his Tavar 500 shirt. John Tavares on the backhand makes it 3-2 Leafs with goal number 501. Now, I can't remember if we talked about this in an LFR or not, but John Tavares scored the saddest 500th goal ever. He scored the 500th goal of his career, and it was late in the Blue Jackets game where the Leafs were getting their bums kicked. Not a single person in that building, John included, cared about that goal. I said this before and I'll say it again. John Tavares is one of only 49 people to reach 500 goals in the NHL. He is on the first year of a 4-year contract. If he hits 600 goals, which it seems rather likely he will, every single living, breathing human being who has ever scored 600 goals in the NHL and is eligible to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. You can point to the personal hardware, you can point to the playoff success. Facts are facts. Fewer than 50 people have ever done what John Tavares has done, and if he hits 600, it's guaranteed Hall of Fame. There are 3 guys who have scored 600 goals in their NHL careers and aren't in the Hall of Fame, and that's because they are all still currently being paid to play hockey. Alexander Ovechkin, who just hit 900, Sidney Crosby, and hilariously, Jaromir Jagr, who was born in 1972 and is second in all-time NHL scoring and just won't retire. And somehow, that wasn't even the most satisfying goal of the night. On a play that was basically started by Matias Maccelli, Dakota Joshua, this line, all 3 of these guys are cooking. Joshua, Waugh, and Maccelli. Joshua gets it back to Maccelli in open ice, and if you don't think Leaf fans are intense, this is a Matias Maccelli goal against Utah on a Thursday night in November. Listen, that place can be a morgue, I get it, and we're all coming down from the Blue Jays. I get it. But when the Leafs get a big goal and they're winning, oh, the pop in that building is something else. There are a lot of times where the silent anxiety is something else too. But when the pop happens, that was nice and late too. Barely over 4 minutes left to play. Matthew Nyes gets the empty netter. Super happy for my fantasy team. William Nylander got an assist there as well. Jake McCabe got an assist, just letting you know for your fantasy. Dylan Guenther got a goal with a little over a minute to go. We don't care about that. Oh, Nate Schmidt got an assist on that. Former Panther, hope you step on a Lego. And all of a sudden, at the time I am shooting this video, since we were paying so much attention to this sort of thing when the Leafs were down and out, let's just have a gander. The Leafs are 3rd place in the Atlantic Division with 17 points. Detroit has 18, Montreal has 19. The Leafs are 5th place in the Eastern Conference. And the Leafs are in a 4-way tie for 8th in the entire NHL. If you really want to split hairs, they're 11th. The teams they are tied with are Dallas, totally. Vegas, totally. And the Ducks. It's November. This season is going to have ebbs. This season is going to have flows. I can handle the Leafs losing a game or 2 as long as they look like the team they're trying to look like. And when they were losing games a week or 2 ago, they just looked, bad. Now they're crashing the net. They're winning battles. They're hard to win battles against. They are belligerent after whistles. Dakota Joshua just rocked Clayton Keller. That was fun. Oh, and they're winning! I can get behind this. Let's get to questions, and this was like the number 1 question. Easton Cowan got sent down. People wanted to know, like, is this just a paper transaction? Why would they do this? The reason they would do this is, well, Simone Benoit wasn't in the lineup tonight, so the Leafs needed an extra D, and obviously Chris Tanev isn't there as well. And the Leafs just straight up have too many forwards, and And the Leafs just have literally too many players. You can't have a roster with more than 23 guys on it. And specifically, they have too many forwards. Easton Cowan has the disadvantage of the Leafs can just send him down to the minors and there's no waivers. No one can claim him. I really don't think this is a bad thing at all. Easton Cowan's ice time in the Pittsburgh game was pathetic, and the Leafs had that incredible comeback, and he just was not part of it. I think he played less than 2 minutes in the third. He's a first-round pick, and he's 20, and he's very gifted, and that's just not what you should be doing with that kind of player. You got to play him in the AHL. You got to give him top competition down there, let him rip it up, and then call him up hopefully before too long. And by then, maybe someone gets hurt, or maybe there's a trade, or who knows. Someone could get hurt tomorrow and he's back on Saturday. I don't know. But if you want to develop your 20-year-old potential key piece to the future, what else is the American Hockey League for? Send him down, get him some playing time, and I don't know, all the other guys seemed pretty good tonight. They got Lawton back, really happy about that. What didn't you like? That was a good game. Oh yeah, and Matias Maccelli got the game belt. God, that's great. One last thing before we get to your questions. This is just very funny. Luke Fox pointing out the Leafs have the most comeback wins in the NHL with 6. Justin Bourne says new Blue Jays just dropped. Sports are dumb. I love sports. Sports are dumb. I love sports. Here's a question. Just spitballing here, but have we done any research on if we can move the month of November into the late spring? Yeah, so the Leafs often struggle in October and then obviously in the spring, but for some reason November they kind of kick butt. And to answer your question directly, nothing matters anymore. I don't know if you noticed that. Nothing matters. So I think November is now April. I think this is April. This is April right now. We're switching them. That's fine. In Canada, we can, if we can move Thanksgiving, we can move November. Do you think the Leafs are finally showing signs of an identity? Yes, they finally look like a Craig Berube hockey team, which there's a reason. I said this on the podcast. Berube, even though he was talking to the media after a win, sounded like a coach about to get fired. Now, I don't think he's about to get fired, but coaches before they're about to get fired sound a certain way. And that certain way is usually baffled and confused. They have tried to tell their team how to play, and they will not play that way. Plenty of good coaches, most of the coaches who get fired are good coaches who just, the team won't listen. And that's part of it. Part of being a coach is not just having a great system, but teaching it to a team that will actually do it. And if you're the Leafs, and let's say they lost the last 2 or 3 games, and they looked as bad as they did in the first 40 against Pittsburgh, you got to sit down and sort of have this conversation Craig's pretty good, but they won't do the things he says, so what should we do? Sure, you can make trades, you can cut guys, you can do whatever you want, but the easiest thing is usually firing the coach. Instead, what the Leafs have done is they work hard. They mind their P's and Q's defensively most of the time, and they make it not fun for you. Heavy on the forecheck, heavy in front of the net, both nets. A key piece of the puzzle, Matthews just looks ridiculous, but the improvement in Nick Waugh and the improvement in Dakota Joshua has been vital to all of this changing around for the Leafs. And getting Scott Lawton back, I don't think can be overstated. It was his first game. I don't expect the world from him in his first game. He really ties the room together. Traveling from PEI to see my first Leafs game on Saturday, dare I have hope? I hope so, man. I know it's the Bruins, and I know they're last place in the Atlantic right now. And last time I looked at their roster, Marat Kuznetsov was their top center. I didn't know he was forget first-line player. I didn't know he was a center. And he's going to score 4 or 5 minutes into that game because I said that, But if this team is playing well and now they have a couple days off and they have home ice, yes! They should win that game! You should have hope! We should all have hope! And be calm about it. My friends, for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends. Once again, Easter Seals, link in the description down below. Thank you.